Good morning, I'm Stephen Allen, Michael Jackson, I Just Can't Stop Loving You. So, we spoke yesterday about people who've spurred you on in life and who are, in your eyes, real heroes. Well, I'm joined by Mavis Nye from Whitstable, who supports and educates others with non-curable asbestos cancer, which she herself has. And she's been recognised with a national honour that she collected last week. Tell us who your heroes are this morning. You can call 03459 811111. But Mavis joins me in the studio. Hello, Mavis.
Hello.
So first of all, tell us about the award that you've been given.
Well, the award was nominated. I was nominated by the Mesowarriors, rather secretly, and my friend Angela, she got it all together and she filled all the forms up. So, and then they notified me. So I was really honoured because it's come from the girls and the boys that have mesothelioma or have cared for people with mesothelioma.
Oh, this is, and I know you've brought it with us. I know it's a very visual thing, but I want to see, I want to have a look. Oh, look at this.
It's lovely.
Excellent. So when did you find out about the nomination and the award, and how does that all work?
They emailed me and told me, did I agree? Which Angela was quite annoyed about because she wanted it all to be kept secret. But yeah, they just emailed me. Of course I agreed, and I was very proud to be able to go up there to the House of Lords and to meet Larry Lamb. Larry Lamb presented it to me, and he's a lovely bloke.
Excellent.
So yes, it was a wonderful time.
Like a whole nice day out.
They give you the award, and then you go on to do a lap of honour around London on the buses. So you're by that time it's got dark, so we saw London by night, and then we went to Church House, where they then presented us with the actual certificates.
Okay. Now just to get more background on this, so I know more, can you explain mesothelioma? What actually is the condition, and what do we know about it?
It's caused through asbestos.
Right.
And asbestos is now, everyone's becoming aware that we've still got asbestos here. It might be banned, but it's still in our houses, DIY, schools. There's a lot to get this asbestos out of buildings now and out of our life. Because mesothelioma is a terrible cancer. It's uncurable. There is no cure. And up till now, only chemotherapy has been used on this. But I've been lucky enough to go on a trial, and I have lived 7 years now. And because I've been on a 2-year trial with MK3475, which is Keytruda.
Are you... I mean, is the phrase guinea pig appropriate?
Yeah, it is.
You are,
it's very appropriate, because what it is, I've been given a very high strength of it, and they then see, because it's phase 1, so they then see how much your body can tolerate it, and from that they then can go on in the future to give it to other people.
And do we know how that's affected any of your tests and how things have shown up positive?
It's been marvellous. I'm the first person in the world to have so much shrinkage. And in fact, I went Tuesday, and the other scan result now shows it as to be, so the tumours are so small, they're so flat, and the meso is not showing in it. But the only thing is, of course, if it could still be there, laying there, the cells, but we don't know that. I now am teaching the doctors what happens from now on.
Wow, and so this must be a great thing to see those results, but there must be an interesting type of scariness to it, knowing that, I mean, this is very much going into the unknown. Even the doctors don't know what's happening.
Yeah, definitely. I feel so honoured that, and yet so humble that I've been able to do this before the Mesowarriors, really, because they're still on chemos, and we want these drugs through. And it's only this year, really, that they are coming through in trials. And at last we've got drugs and not chemo. Chemo is not a cure, it never will be. It only knocks it back all the time until your body just can't take it anymore, and I'm afraid you do die. You know, it's awful. We're losing so many Mesowarriors. And you're given a 3-month death sentence at the beginning, and here I am 7 years. So I'm honoured.
How did that feel to be given the 3 months, and then when did you find out? Well, when did you find out there was longer than 3 months?
2009. When I had it, couldn't breathe, and they drained the fluid out my lung. They find the cancer cells in that fluid, and that you're told mesothelioma. And a nurse said to me, "Well, you've only got about 3 months to live," and I just devastated. I came home, I threw all my clothes out because I thought I've got cancer, so I'm not going to need them, and I changed all the furniture, I changed the bed and curtains because I didn't think Ray would cope. I even told him off because I said he wouldn't be able to wash net, men don't wash net curtains, so I put blinds up. I was planning my death at that point. And then gradually I got the chemotherapy, gradually I knocked it down, but then I came to no more treatment 4 years ago. Was it 4 years? Sorry, 2 years ago.
I should bring Ray in as well.
Sorry,
So
2 years ago I came to no
Yes.
more treatment and I couldn't take it. And so I've been striving to find where all the trials are, and that's how I grew within, and I know all the doctors, they know me and they're fed up with me knocking on their door. But I finally got the one at Marsden, the Royal Marsden. They've been wonderful.
So just to get all this in order and get our heads around it, mesothelioma linked to asbestos. How did you come into contact with asbestos then?
Right. It was Ray.
So this is good time to bring Ray in. Ray, hello, you joined us as well today.
Hello.
Hello. So, I mean, this must have been a difficult journey for you as well. Before we get into the details on that, how were you linked to the asbestos?
I worked in Chatham Dockyard. I was an apprentice in there for 5 years and then went back in there. I went back in there after my national service for a final 2 years. So, unfortunately, ships are full of asbestos. They can't run without asbestos.
Right.
So it is literally everywhere.
So how did the asbestos get from the dockyard to Mavis?
On my clothes, in my hair, when I came home.
He didn't have protection in those days. They didn't have protection to
Well,
work with.
they never told us it was dangerous, so
No.
we didn't know any different. And she was washing my clothes and shaking them out, ready to put them in the wash. That dust, that's where she got it. It only takes one fibre, that's all.
All right, I was going to say, how many years were you doing in this situation, being exposed to it?
I got married at 20, 18, 19, and at 20, really, Ray was in the dockyard, and that's when I was doing his washing. I just got married, so I was doing his washing, and it lays dormant, and 48 years.
I mean, you must have had this thought as well, that, Ray, you were the one working with it, exposed to it far more you'd imagine, for enough to be on you that the washing of your clothes causes mesothelioma, and you've not been affected by it.
I've got scarring and lung damage, but I've not got full-blown mesothelioma.
Because he hasn't got the cancer cell.
And do we know how that happens then? How some people don't get the cancer cell and some do?
Well, when I asked the doctors, they said some people have a cancer gene and some people don't. And if you have a cancer gene, you're more susceptible to get mesothelioma. And obviously I haven't got the gene, so I've been spared so far.
That must still have had an emotional impact on you, and I don't want to probe too far, but how did you feel when you heard
Well,
Mavis
for
was diagnosed?
a couple of years I felt that I was the one that gave her the death sentence, and it was very difficult to deal with. But we talked to each other, and Mavis said, it's not your fault, you shouldn't feel guilty. It's down to the powers that be and the government that never gave us suitable protection. Is it?
So that's the thing that we're campaigning for, suitable protection and not having...
What's happened is that I've joined Hazmat and they asked me to be their patron of their charity. And so what I'm doing really is working with the people today, the young men and women that are working, stripping the asbestos out, because they've got to make sure their protection is right and all the gear that they use today is right. And you forget that if you've got a mask on and they get stubble, that then they lose the seal.
Yeah.
And so that can be dangerous to them. There's so much, they're in a lot of danger. So the point is with Hazmat Foundation it's going to be a charity, or is a charity, we're working well, and a charity whereby to help some money go to research, but some money go to help the actual people and their families and give them a day out or something nice to do, so that you are so alone when you're given these death sentences, and you have to search and research and find people. Well, not everyone does that, and they sit at home and they die, and their families are all around them and that, but we'll be able to help the children and them to have a nice day out or something, whatever they want to do.
So in some sense, your story would have been very different if you weren't so proactive.
Yes.
You've saved yourself.
Yes,
in many
I think
ways.
I have, by being so curious about it all. Yeah, and Google. They call me the Google Queen.
Is that as simple as that? Your first search started
Google.
there?
Yeah.
Well, 18 months ago, before she went on this trial, they'd given up at our local hospital. They said, I'm sorry, there's no more treatment. Just go home and get on with basically whatever time you've got left. But they didn't know Mavis to that extent, because she's not... I often joke and say Mesothelioma didn't know what it had taken on when it took on Mavis.
That's excellent. Well, so you've been doing, and this is World Cancer Day. Hopefully we can talk about that.
Cancer Day,
because we've just got to go and get some news. But so we'll talk about World Cancer Day and also your campaigning. And you're a blogger.
Yes, I'm a blogger.
Very modern day phrase. We'll delve into
I'm very much into social media.
We'll find out more about that as we see what you've got planned for the future. It's coming up to 11:20. It's BBC Radio Kent. Rose has the news, starting with a report from the Independent Police Complaints Commission.
Kent Police and Ambulance.
Breakfast on BBC Radio Kent with John Warnett and Maggie
BBC
Doyle.
Radio Kent, 22 minutes past 11. Good morning, I'm Stephen Allen, and we're talking with Ray and Mavis Nye. Mavis, who's the recipient of a British Citizen Award, and I was going to talk about, probably more about the award, but I want to go straight to the blog, because you were saying you're very much into social media. I've just witnessed Ray taking a picture with a smartphone.
Oh.
You're very much with the technology. How does things like smartphones and social media play into what you're doing with your campaign?
I suppose really because it's brought us all together around the world, and all that we gathered as Meso Warriors. Debbie Brewer, she had mesothelioma just before I did, and she was trying to find treatments and that. And we met up on social media, on Facebook, and from that we sort of worked together, and we started groups, all different groups, and gradually I met most of the Meso Warriors. A lot of them we meet up once a year, twice a year. We're going to go down to a caravan holiday even, we just all together. Because this is like no other cancer. Because I think it's because we've got something to blame. We know who it is did this to us. Greed, the government.
So, in terms of compensation, what's the story along that line been?
Well, because you can actually sue the company if it's alive and working still, but with Ray it was the dockyards, and plus I'm secondary, what they call secondary.
Oh, because you didn't work.
I didn't work with it, so I'm secondary, but the government do pay a payment that helped us at the time. It helped me to pay for all the travelling to find treatment and that. You need so much money when you get cancer. It's amazing, that you do need money.
And so the compensation, obviously part of it, but the support that you get from the Meso Warriors, how does that add to your life and your recovery?
Very much so, because we got these groups, and so people, when they get mesothelioma, come on and find the groups, or they find me through my blog, and we then can help them. We can then. They feel so alone, but they realise all of a sudden, no, there's a world. There's so many people got it. They call it rare, and it's not rare. It really isn't. I think nearly everybody must have a bit of asbestos in their lung.
Right. So what are the figures in terms of people suffering from mesothelioma? Or just ballpark?
I think you're going to get me on that one, because, it's huge, a huge amount.
We've lost 3 this week.
Yeah, I've lost 3 this week.
And that's not unusual.
Yeah. So to actually get it, I think... I should have brought the figures with me.
That's okay.
But yes, it's a huge amount. It's not rare.
Yeah.
There are so many people. I think it's something like 7,000 people a year die of it at the moment. More than road accidents. I do know that.
Really? Then that certainly does not warrant the word rare, does it?
No, it doesn't. They've got to drop it.
So, with this, I'm just trying to think, what if I were in that situation? my go-to emotion would be anger. If you know that, if I get a cancer that is just some randomly occurring mutation, I'm sure I'd still be angry. But as you say, the fact that you know there is someone to blame, and you don't strike me as an angry person, how do those two things match?
No, you are angry, very angry. I'm angry at the government at the time. They knew, and it was greed. In fact, a doctor has told me that the government at the time said it would be cheap. They knew the danger, but it would be cheaper to pay compensation than to ban asbestos. And so they didn't ban asbestos straight away, not till 1999, I think it was. And houses built before 2000 have still got asbestos in, but you still got the Russians and you still got the Chinese, and you have to be very careful of their imports because it's been found in children's crowns coming in from China, and it's been found in flasks this last week. So it's still coming in. In fact, we had an electric fire in the year 2000, we bought it, and there, as we changed the bulb, there sitting was a piece of asbestos under the bulb.
So how did you recognise? I mean, I remember the asbestos.
We were white, then I gave it to Ray and said, "What's this?" And he knew it as asbestos.
Right, because it's like the plates at GCSE science, the things to stand hot things on.
Yes, yeah.
But sometimes it's wrapped round electric cables and it's fluffy.
Right.
And it's like a material.
And because I was about to say, with it being banned, surely this is something that will happen less and less in the future. But the ban doesn't...
It's coming in through cheap imports, and we all like cheap goods, don't we?
Yeah.
And we're buying Chinese goods, and it's there.
So let's...
We did have a list of over 3,200 domestic items that contained asbestos. If you think about it, there was the sill around your oven, there were oven gloves, ironing board covers, the glue on the back of postage stamps was bonded with asbestos. The list is absolutely horrendous.
And the terrible one is talcum powder, and that is now being ovarian cancer. It's been linked to ovarian cancer because we all use talcum powder. So, it was a horrendous...
Are these things the kind of things that you talk about on your blog?
Yes, I do.
So you tell us about the blog. I'm interested in...
So my blog started... Well, my blog started because I was in hospital and I was given 3 months, and my poor family were devastated, and they kept phoning up poor Ray, who wasn't always there because he was in the hospital. So I said, right, we'll start a blog. And then we started the blog for the family, really, but I put it on Facebook, and... then it gradually took off, and how many hits have I had now?
The last count recently, there was about 330,000.
Wow.
It's huge. So it's read by a lot of people. It's read by the Lords. Lord Askew, he came over and he shook my hand and said, "I read your blog every day, So it's read by so many people that I don't realise.
Yeah, well, let's to end in a positive way, which is great to hear about the blog. And what would you say the future holds for you? What are your plans here on in?
Oh, I've been to, that I don't know really what my future is. I don't know if this is going to come back and I'm going to need more of the drug. I finished this drug in May, and so they will then do scanning every 3 months. So you will be praying every scan that it's not going to come back.
Yeah.
We've got to believe in this drug. It's what, because can I say that cancer turns your immune system off? They didn't know that. That's what they found. So this drug goes in and turns your immune system back on. So in actual fact, it's not the drug that's working on me so much. It's the immune system is now able to work and kill it off.
Okay.
So I've been given such a high amount, so we don't really know when the immune system might actually turn on me and turn on my good cells. So,
Well, fingers crossed, and good luck with this story. And you do seem very positive about it. And congratulations on the British Citizens Award.
I know.
It looks
was
fantastic.
Lovely.
and so if you'd like to read more, you can have a read of Mavis's blog. It's www.rayandmave.wordpress.com. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being in today. It's BBC Radio Kent.